It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of Halloween weekend 1997. And as I kind of hinted yesterday, the four movies that are here are movies that are not memorable in any way, shape, or form. In fact, you could probably make the argument that the scariest thing to come out of this weekend in 1997 wasn't Halloween, but the fact that you saw four movies here that you're never going to hear about ever again because they were so lackluster and so forgettable. And in fact, I don't know where we're even going with that. Let's just get this one over with. This is one of those weekends where it's just like, this is not going to be a fun weekend to talk about these movies because I know nothing about these movies, and from what the little bits I've seen from them, they do not look enjoyable or pleasing whatsoever. Case in point with the first movie we have here, Richard Gere in Red Corner. I mean, the premise right there is a straightforward premise, and it's not even an interesting premise whatsoever. I mean, Richard Gere plays this American businessman in China who ends up wrongfully accused of murder. His only hope of exoneration and freedom is this female defense lawyer from the country. But the problem is he can't understand what everybody's saying around him, and it feels like in that trailer that you see there, everybody in China is conspiring against this guy for no real reason except they just believe what they want to believe, and like, is there even really a point to this movie whatsoever? What am I supposed to take from this movie? Am I supposed to take the fact that everyone in China is an asshole? Am I supposed to take the fact that Richard Gere is supposed to be an asshole? Like, the trailers for this do not set this movie up at all. Like, I don't know who to root for in this situation here. Like, it's not an interesting courtroom thriller whatsoever. You can't get behind anybody. You don't get behind the people in China that are just trying to do their job, even though there may be some conspiracies going on with the way they're handling this. You can't even get invested in Richard Gere because he's just such an asshole of a character that you can't really get a whole lot from him in this movie. I mean, this is a film that is just it just looks so bland and so uninspired, and there's nothing about it whatsoever. The film is more notable for its controversy in the People's Republic of China because of the way that the China judicial system in this movie is presented. I mean, they hated the fact that it's presented this way, and when you look at this, you can see why. It looks like that in this movie, they just don't care about actually going into their job. They just want to get rid of this. They just want to put this guy behind bars and punish him or something like that. It's just like the movie itself just feels like a movie that is just, it's trying to say some big political statement about the country, and it just fails to really figure out what kind of a set of it wants to be just from the trailers alone. And I have no real interest in seeing this movie whatsoever. I mean, this looks like a movie that just is offensive on so many levels, not just for the people of China, but also for the fact that it's against Americans as a whole from the side of China. And it's just like, it just really just does not work at all. And this is one of several movies that was coming out at the time where the head of the Motion Picture Association of America, Jack Valenti, had to address Chinese film officials to ban cooperation with the Hollywood studios that produced this film, 7 Years in Tibet, and also Kundun, because they were films that viciously attacked China and hurt Chinese people's feelings. Although all kinds of efforts have been made that these three American companies are still pushing out above films in order to protect China's national overall interest, it has been decided that all business cooperation with these three companies to be ceased temporarily without exception. And I mean, that just pretty much tells you everything you need to know. If that's the most memorable thing about the movie, then the movie itself. I mean, yeah, so this is gonna be a fun one. I can already tell. I'm just kidding, by the way. Let's just keep going. Here's another bland, forgettable movie that we have here: Dennis Quaid and Danny Glover in Switchback. But this film is about an FBI agent who tracks her son's kidnapper to Amarillo, Texas, where two lawmen are seeking to use this case in the election bid. And you see Dennis Quaid, Danny Glover, Jared Leto's also in the film, so is Ted Levine, William Fichtner, Arlie Ermey, and it's the feature film directorial debut for Jeff Stewart, who is also the writer of Die Hard. And I don't know, it looks too silly for its own good, and again, kind of like with Red Corner, I don't know if I'm supposed to like these characters or not. You could barely hear Dennis Quaid throughout the course of the trailers that I saw for this. And I don't know what Danny Glover was doing in this. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see Danny Glover play something a little bit off character from what we're used to seeing from the Lethal Weapon movies, but at the same time, I still don't know what the hell he's trying to do in these trailers here. But it's a largely forgettable film. I mean, it came and went. I mean, you don't usually put is Halloween is kind of like a semi dumping ground for several for movies. I mean, it's not as bad as something like January or the dumping grounds between late August and early September, but it's certainly a weekend when nobody puts out their really best stuff. I mean, they don't really put out their best stuff on Halloween weekend because, for obvious reasons, people want to go out trick or treating and do other things, go to Halloween parties instead of going to see these generic, bland, mediocre movies here. And Switchback is another example of one of those movies. And here's another one: James Spader in Critical Care. Yet another bland, mediocre-looking film. Directed by Sidley Lumet of all people, which he was kind of in a lull at this point. I mean, he'd done stuff that we've talked about on here that was not that great. Q&A, Stranger Among Us, Guilty of Sin, Night Falls on Manhattan, and this movie, which has James Spader in it, of course, and Kira Sedgwick, Helen Mirren, Anne Bancroft, Albert Brooks, Jeffrey Wright, Margot Martindale, Wallace Shawn, Philip Bosco, Colin Feore, Edward Herrmann. There are notable names in this movie, but the film is basically about a doctor who finds himself involved in a fight with two half-sisters over the care of their ailing father, and this doesn't look like a movie that they were proud of. This looks like a movie that was dumped on, probably was supposed to go to a theatrical release, but was later dumped on home video because they saw it and they were just like, there's no way we could sell this movie. This is not a good-looking film. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe the movie actually is something worth it, but I sincerely doubt it. I mean, you probably didn't even know it even existed before I even brought it up, did you? Did you? So, yeah. That's pretty much all I got for you on that one. God, this is a horrible one, but we're almost done. This is the next movie we have here. Claire Danes and Jude Law starring in I Love You Not. I mean, haven't we seen this stuff done before? I mean, seriously. I don't even need to show you the rest of the trailer to show that we've seen this stuff done before. I mean, there's nothing about this that's intriguing or new or anything different whatsoever. You basically have a story that takes place around two women, a grandmother and a granddaughter, and the grandmother tells her granddaughter of her strong and blossoming romance with this young man named Ethan, played by Jude Law, and her problems at school because she's Jewish, and she tells the story of her young life when she went through a ghetto at a concentration camp, and the romantic love between the boy and her are strong and genuine. And do I really need to explain more of the plot of this? It's a story we've seen done to death. There's gonna be a third act breakup. There's gonna be something that happens at the end, and it's just like, I mean, granted, in this case, it doesn't go completely third act breakup and then they get back together. No, there's actually something that actually happens in this case where it actually does make a whole lot of sense of why this isn't going to work out well. And I guess I got to give it a little bit of credit for that, judging by the plot here. But really, what else do you think this movie's going to be about? I mean, it's a film that really, it does not look like a film that looks like it's going to do anything groundbreaking or do anything unique about it to make it stand out on its own. If anything, maybe Claire Danes and Jude Law probably make it work with a good chemistry, but I don't know, man. I just don't feel like this movie was really all that worth it in the end. Plus, it doesn't have the best reviews for it, so that's pretty much all I got for you on that one. That's I Love You Not. Oh my God, this was a horrible week. I'm sorry for this, but we had to get through these. We have to go through these horrible weeks at some point. I mean, we've already gone through one a couple weeks ago, which shockingly is one of the highest viewed episodes we've done on this particular show, A Time About the Movies. The week I looked at Fire Down Below and Latin Boys Go to Hell, that was the one that got to over 100 views for reasons that are beyond me. I don't know why it went that way, but who knows? Maybe this will be another high viewing episode. But I promise you, the next episode we do here will be a much better episode than this one here, because we actually have movies that are worth talking about, including Paul Verhoeven's Starship Troopers, and we also have Dustin Hoffman and John Travolta in Mad City. We also have the criminally underrated East Bayou, as well as The Wings of the Dove, and Cold Around the Heart. So 5 movies to look at, and I know at least 3 of them we can have a good conversation with, because there are some pretty good movies, pretty good, interesting movies with topics of discussion we can delve into with these films. I don't really know what I'm talking about right now. I just want to get this one over with. So, again, I apologize for this one. This is not one of our better episodes, and I fully admit this is not one of our better episodes, but we have to go through these weeks one by one, and you're going to have bad weeks like this. So, if for some reason you like what you saw here, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. And also don't forget to check out some of the episodes we've done before, as well as a playlist of the previous episodes from this particular year. I'm at a loss for words for this week. This was not a very good week. This is one of the worst weeks I've looked at so far in the eight years since we've been covering this. 8 years in terms of the episodes we've covered since last year when I started this. So I know I'm just killing time here, but I promise you next time will be better. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I apologize in advance, but I apologize for what you just saw, I should say. But like I said, if you did like what you see, which I don't know why you would, take a look at the next. Please go to the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. Hopefully surely with better movies, especially next time. But thank you for powering through this with me. I apologize for everything about this episode. Next time around will be better. I promise you that. So with that said, I'm getting out of here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. And until then, as always, take care. Good night, everybody.